Today we're looking at Imaginary, Jeff Wadlow's latest blight upon the world that we had to endure. At this point I'm taking Blumhouse's continuing employment of Wadlow as a personal attack. And now I'm imagining a world where I didn't have to watch this movie. It's nicer there. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Tim.
Whatever.
This is a...
That's my disinfected stepchild.
Disinfected?
Yeah.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Probably not. Disenchanted, maybe?
You give them a good clean? Yes, welcome everyone. Yeah. It's a horror movie.
Stepchildren should be clean.
Okay. Horror movie podcast, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we're still catching up and working through a few 2024 movies that we want to get through before we do our top 10 of the year, and also bottom 5 or 10, which this one may be more relevant for, but we'll get to that in a minute. Today we're talking about Imaginary, which is actually over a year old. So the weird thing about the fires delaying all of our plans for like February and March is that this movie's actually over a year old now, because this came out last February and it's now April. So this feels weird. It's not relevant anymore, and the only reason why it's still on the schedule is because I knew it was going to piss us off. And I knew it's going to be one that we're going to put on a worst of list most likely, and it's a sort of slop that we have to just suffer through every year as horror movie reviewers, I guess. So yes, you're welcome everyone. Don't call us heroes.
I mean, every couple of years you have to do a Wadlow flick. It's just
Tim, I am at like, there was about 30 minutes into this movie where I just had the moment where I felt like, you know what? I officially hate this bastard. I hate him. I hate him so much because he has done Truth or Dare, he did Kick-Ass 2, he did Fantasy Island, and now he's done Imaginary. And what do they all have in common? They're all absolute shite. That's what they all have in common. And they're boring shite at that. That's the biggest sin of all.
Well, you know what was just like really enraging me is just the fact that as I was watching this, I just kept thinking about how, like, you know, rest in peace, David Lynch. But, you know, just the fact that, you know, I think they said, like, you know, before he died, you know, he was having trouble getting, like, you know, funding for his next movie. And then, you know, you hear stuff about, like, Carpenter was saying, you know, he'd like to direct again, but, like, no one's offering him, you know, enough money to make it, you know, doable. And then just the fact that, yeah, if you took, like, I mean, I know obviously they were all made in the same year, but, like, you know, you take every movie that, like, Wadlow's directed and, like, you know, combine the budgets, like, you know, that could have been like one more Carpenter, one more Lynch, like, you know, enough money to actually go to like good directors to do something. But instead we just get, you know, this crap. And these aren't huge budget movies, but still, like, you know, that's enough that we should be giving it to good directors instead of just the most pointless garbage that's coming out.
I mean, I agree with you on David Lynch. Carpenter, however, has not made a good movie in decades, so I'm not convinced that the money would have been well spent there either, to be honest. Also, I'm pretty sure he's happy just playing video games every day. I don't know if he does want to make any more movies. I think he's just chilling for the rest of his life.
I mean, maybe it's like a clickbaity headline or something, but I saw some like recent quote or something that said he would be interested in it, but just the money is not there. I mean, maybe that means he's asking like for some insane amount of money, which, I mean, I don't feel like he probably is, but I'm sure he's getting lowballed. But I mean, I don't know. I always want to see, like, I hate, you know, people that, like, talented artists that, I don't want to say like fade into obscurity, but, you know, that they don't go out with a bang. Like, you know, I mean, I agree. Like, you know, Carpenter hasn't really done anything great in quite a while. I mean,
30 years, but okay, go on.
I mean, a lot of that is because he really hasn't made anything in what, like 10, at least 10 years.
I mean, that's true, but the last 10 years he was making stuff that was pretty much all trash. Like, like, no one
At
loves...
least it's interesting trash, so I take any of that over, you know, any of this like kind of hack Hollywood stuff that like we're getting now.
Is it all interesting trash? Look, this is a weird debate we're having. No one loves Carpenter in his prime more than I do, okay? This is a weird thing we're going down here, but I don't think giving money to 78-year-old John Carpenter is...
I'm just using it as an example. I mean, I'm not saying that it should all go to him, but I mean, maybe it should, but I'm just saying there's very talented artists, especially people that haven't made anything in quite a while, or having trouble getting stuff made, or you're constantly hearing about interesting projects that are getting shelved or whatever, and instead we're seeing just the least talented people getting $400 million Netflix deals or some bullshit like that. So I mean, all I'm saying is that watching something like this just angered me thinking about the money that could have gone to something much more good.
Tim, I hate to tell you this, but there really is no connection between the two things, annoyingly. It's like the money wouldn't be going anywhere better. Like this money was always going to go to some crappy little horror movie that Blumhouse and was it New Line? I don't know, whoever. It was Lionsgate. It was Lionsgate, right?
Well, I'm not saying that like Jason Blum had like 2 projects in his hand and was like, like which one? Like I understand that. I'm just saying, I think it should go to better things.
I don't know. I'm just that's a can of worms that like we can't think of it that way, Tim, because it'll just send you into madness. Like if you're going to think of it that way, then why isn't this money going to, I don't know, feeding poor people? Like, there's better uses of that money. Obviously there is, but we're spending millions of dollars on movies instead.
Yeah, but it's not entertaining to watch poor people eat. That's
someone clip that and spread it on the internet, please, for all to see. Anyway, we will start spoiler free like we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get the spoilers. And of course, if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, please do hit the like button. It helps us out a bunch. And of course, you can support the show and help keep it coming over at Patreon. But I'll tell you more about that and the bonus stuff you'll get at the end of the show. So, imaginary, it's about an imaginary friend, right? It's a woman and the family she's married into. She's married like a guy with 2 kids, 2 daughters, 1 teenage daughter, 1 young daughter. They move into her childhood home, and the little girl daughter starts speaking to an imaginary friend. But of course, it's actually a supernatural entity of some kind, and the movie progresses in every boring way that you might imagine that premise is in the year 2025. Well, technically 2024 because it came out last year, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Tim, what did you think of Imaginary?
People can already guess from earlier comments, but I absolutely hated this. This is just complete garbage and trash. Like you said, we had it on the docket because, not like we ever want to watch bad movies, but it is fun to, when something is annoying or pisses us off to, rag on it, and, it can be kind of cathartic to complain about it or whatever. So, while we don't want to get excited to watch it, sometimes that's fun. But, like you said, though, it's been so long since this has come out. This is just such like a non-existent movie. Like even when it came out, it's like it was, buzzing, but people knew about it and stuff.
To be exact about like why this is on the schedule, and this is why I said it's a little conflicting when it's over a year since it came out, is technically the reason is kind of passed us by, and that is simply that it was a big mainstream new horror release, and we typically try and do those, right? Even if we have to do it a few months later, whatever, it's fine, but we do all the things that have been relevant or in the conversation. And this kind of reached this weird territory where it's been over a year. We could kind of just get away with letting it go. But I would feel that there's a hole. I would feel like we missed something.
Sure.
So here we are, even though we knew we were going to hate this.
And it's like you said, it's just every dumb cliche. It's the stepmom that's just trying to make it work, but the daughter is just not giving it to her, and like the husband with a convenient job that like makes him travel, so like he's gone 20 minutes into the movie. he's such a generic Englishman. Like he just that's all he is. Like and I feel like
he has like, this is like a weird sentence, but he has no chemistry with the people that are supposed to be his children.
No, not at all.
Right? I mean, arguably doesn't have chemistry with his now wife or girlfriend either. DeWanda Wise is the main character, and she's like this newcomer to this family, relatively speaking. But he and her don't really have much chemistry. But the thing that really got me is that I feel like all the important scenes with the kids are all DeWanda Wise and the kids, and there's never a scene where he like feels like he is their dad, like, oh, like the teenage daughter's going to him because she sees him as her actual parent but doesn't accept the new stepmom. We never have a scene where it feels like they care about each other.
No.
Everything's always through the context of DeWanda Wise's presence with the kids. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's just, I didn't care for the chemistry. It all just feels, again, like cliches, and then it doesn't feel earned when there's drama or what they're trying to pull off as stakes, and then and it's just, and horror wise, there's absolutely nothing like creepy or atmospheric or intriguing, like everything from the music to the look. Now, I mean, I should probably say this because this is on me because obviously it's not the best way to watch a movie, but due to like time constraints and everything, like I did have to watch this like on my phone during the day, which I mean, if it was another movie that I cared more about, I would have made an effort to not have it be that way, but I figure it wouldn't matter. But I could barely see a lot of the scenes where it's so dark.
Tim, I want to cut in here because I had a complaint to make myself. Now, I watched this on an OLED TV, right?
Of course.
The movie...
It's been a while since we heard about your OLED.
The movie was in Dolby Vision, right? It's in HDR. I am watching it in a dark room. I am watching it in the most pristine conditions for which one can watch a movie. And the scenes in the dark in this film are so goddamn dark that I was struggling to see what the hell was going on in the most perfect conditions for seeing those things. And this isn't a problem with the equipment or anything. No other movie has given me this issue. I do know that there was an episode of House of the Dragon, right? That Game of Thrones show, right? I don't watch it, but like, I remember there being like an episode where there was complaints to HBO because people were saying that anyone who was watching it in HDR was saying it was far too dark. And it's because like they felt like, well, it's HDR, we can go as low as we want. So they went down to like ridiculously low levels, and it made it so dark that people were complaining. And it arguably looked better in SDR because they couldn't go that low. I think this is what happened here. Is I think they mixed, or they when they did the color correcting and did all the mastering, I think they went too far with the dark scenes because darker's scarier, but there's a point where you just can't see anything, and I was feeling that a lot, mind-boggling.
I'll be honest. I think Daredevil could have seen this movie better than I did.
Technically, wouldn't Daredevil just see two speakers?
Well, I mean, that's a joke because he's blind, so...
I know, but I'm saying it works like sonar, so he would just see two speakers because the sound would just be bouncing off the speakers.
Sure. Sure.
Well, I thought I was adding to the joke, but you didn't appreciate it, so okay. He would just see the home entertainment system. He wouldn't see what it's representing.
Yeah.
All right, okay, fine. We can move on. I have nothing positive to say about this movie. There's some things...
Legitimately, no.
Yeah, like some things are just really, really mediocre, and then there's other things that are actively really terrible. So there's an old woman character in this who's exposition lady, and she is pretty terrible, and I'm like, God, something about her cadence has reminded me of someone. Turns out... This is a much better movie that I'm bringing up here, but the worst part of Split was the old woman in it. This is that same old woman.
Okay.
What's really weird, though, is that she wasn't always bad, because she was the teacher in Carrie, and she was perfectly fine in that in the 70s. So something about her age, or something about how she's been directed in her old age, whatever it may be, she has this really weird... like, I'm explaining things to the character, but I'm really explaining them to the audience. So I'm going to reiterate things. I'm going to explain things multiple times so that the audience who are not paying attention will get the explanation at some point. Even the Big Sister character did that a bunch of times, and it really pissed me off. I mean, I can't say the line that I want to quote because it's a spoiler, but at one point she's literally like, we're really doing this to do that, and it's going to do this, and I'm like, you're just reiterating and explaining everything to the audience that we should already be understanding. And that's the sort of writing that gets so frustrating in this, where it's like reiterating things in such a way because it's like, hey, just in case the people in the back row are too dumb to get what's going on here, we're going to explain it 5 times.
It feels like such like, I don't know, an executive line or something where they're like, hey, make sure to have like the, one of the main characters remind everyone like what they're doing every, 15 minutes or something.
Well, that's a Netflix thing these days. Is Netflix writers are told to write so that people don't have to be paying attention to it all the time. Which
I heard something like that.
Yeah. And as an artist, that's frustrating because you're like, well, that's not making something to the best that I can make it. I am actively like putting a shackle around it so that people can just not pay attention to it. And this is what this felt like to me. Imaginary felt like a movie written for people who aren't paying complete attention, so things are reiterated 3-4 times so that you really get it by the time that like you're maybe confused by what's happening.
There was one time where like I just audibly was like, oh my god, I can't believe that they actually did that. And I mean, maybe I'll save it to, I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but maybe I'll save it for the spoiler section just in case. But there was basically like an instance, like, or early on in the movie, I was like, oh god, wouldn't it be like so dumb if they had a character say this, and then like, I don't know, 20-30 minutes later, a character said that. I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe this movie.
Yeah, we won't say what it is, of course, but there is a twist about just over the halfway mark in this movie. That made me roll my eyes. I'll just throw that in there as well. Honestly, it's kind of everything wrong with your typical modern supernatural horror movie. It's got all the tropes. It's like, I mean, at the very least, I guess they didn't do the thing where the husband doesn't believe the wife that something weird's going on. But that's because they just write him out of the movie like 20 minutes in. Oh, he's like in a band or something, so he's away. All right, fine. So he's just a non-entity for the rest of the whole thing.
Yeah, it also feels like such a ripoff too. Like there's stuff that I'm like, oh, this feels very much like it. This feels very much like Insidious.
I got Insidious vibe. There's definitely an equivalent to The Further at one point in this movie that really stuck out.
But it's like such an off-brand, like crappy version of The Further. Though it's like it's I don't know what that meme is like. Oh, can we get The Further? It's like, no, we have The Further at home. And then it's like, oh, The Further at home is this crap. Shoot, there's something else I was gonna say. Is probably about something being bad.
Why would you think that, Tim? Why would that possibly what you were going to say, that something was bad?
I don't know. I mean, it's like you say, like there's. Oh, actually, I remember what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's doing this thing too that's just bugging me with these type of movies where everything is just played so deadly serious. Because, I'd be like, I'd be in for a killer teddy bear movie, like that, like play it as a kind of cheap, cheap, cheesy Chucky knockoff or something, like have some fun kills. Like, that sounds like that could be a fun time for me. But everything is just played with like such a gravitas, and every character is taking everything so seriously, and it's just so, I don't know, boring. It's just, there's no fun, to be had at all.
Oh, it's painfully boring. I was like struggling to pay attention. There was multiple points where I did just legitimately zone out, and I had to like go back like 30 seconds to see what I missed. Almost never found anything worth actually going back for, but just in case, because I'm going to talk about it, I had to make sure I wasn't missing an important, explanation or some detail that was going to be relevant that would, null and void something I was going to say. But it was difficult. It was a painful movie to sit through. Honestly, one of the toughest viewings of a movie I've had in months. And it's not like I've not watched bad movies. I don't know if you know this, Tim, but I do a show on Patreon called Extra Reels where we watch some of the worst movies of all time. And legitimately,
you did one good one, though.
We did?
Yeah. Madame Web.
Shut up. Yeah, Tim guest starred on that episode if anyone wants to go on Patreon and check that out. But yeah, no, I mean, I like in the past few months, I have watched a Neil Breen film. I have watched an Uwe Boll film. I just watched Suburban Commando starring Hulk Hogan in the past week, and all of them were less boring than this because at least they're crazy bad, or they're like Jeff Wadlow doesn't have a fiber of an artist in his body. He's not saying anything, and there's no creative passion on the show here. I'm starting to think he's not a real person. I feel like he's just an algorithm. He's like an AI system that's just designed to churn out a generic studio movie with a hint of like feeling or emotion, because that's all I get from it. I get nothing.
Yeah. I mean, he's like a human calendar appointment. Like, they're like, oh, we really need something on the schedule in February to, just stay legitimate or something. So it's like, all right, I guess get Jeff in here. I do think this has got to be his worst, at least of the horror stuff we've done, his worst one. I mean, I don't think Truth or Dare or Fantasy Island was good by any stretch of the imagination, but I think there was at least a bit more interesting things to say with those. Like Fantasy Island was just weird in and of itself. It's like, oh, why are we doing like a horror movie, this whole TV show? And then Truth or Dare, I just remember being like, oh, this is like got a crazy, stupid. But yeah, I don't know. This was just like upsetting. I don't know. I hated every second of it.
Yeah. I like from the start, it kind of sets up its premise and it's doing all the tropes, moving into the house, seeing something creepy. Although that said, this movie has a particularly high number of fake outs. Like the first 2 or 3 creepy things that you think you see are actually, there's an explanation and it's just this or it's just that. And that was getting old at a certain point for a bit. So yeah, I really don't know. Music's not particularly good. I don't think the movie looks that great. Like I said, it's actively too dark in the dark scenes. At least I can speak for HDR. It might be better than an SDR, bizarrely, in this case. And Tim's experience was more just how he was watching it, perhaps. But I cannot commend it. As far as the cast go, like, there's nothing wrong with the leads. Like, I think DeWanda Wise is fine, but it's just the character is just completely, empty and devoid of anything.
She in anything else that I would have known?
She was in the last crappy Jurassic World movie.
Oh, okay.
So she's in that.
The last crappy one, so yeah.
Dominion is the one you're looking for. The teenage daughter, she looked vaguely familiar. It's because she was one of the kids in the Mighty Ducks TV show that I watched a season of, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's where I knew her face from. And again, she's perfectly fine. As is, honestly, like, maybe the nicest thing I could say about this movie is that the actress playing the little girl Alice, Piper Braun, I think for a kid actor, I think she's perfectly solid, right?
Sure.
I don't think the characters are interesting or anything, but I don't think any of the problem is their performances. I think it really is just a case of the script being terrible.
Yeah, I thought the character was a little annoying, but again, nothing on the child's performance. It's just the character itself. Yeah,
she was emotive and stuff. She avoided some of the pitfalls of child actors. She did actually legitimately make me laugh at one point. Where she kind of sounded a little bit evil, and I was almost getting excited thinking, oh, is the movie going to start getting funny because the little girl's going to start sounding more and more like a psychopath? And it never really went anywhere with it, but there was one point where she told off like the teenage neighbor to never touch her stuff again, and the way she sort of said it actually got a little chuckle out of me. But that was the height of the movie.
Well, I guess if people are looking for an actually good movie about an evil child who communicates with a teddy bear, they should, of course, check out The Pit. That is a far superior viewing.
Yeah. Yes, one of Canada's finest efforts. Bit of exploitation in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, spoilers. Look, I can't dance around anything anymore, and honestly, I don't know how much there is to even talk about with this piece of shit.
No.
So let's just get into it.
I just want to call out what I called out early on in the movie, but at one point, like I thought to myself, how stupid would it be if a character like says something like, actually what we believe to be imaginary friends are actually like spirits that are like evil tricksters or whatever, and then like sure enough, like I don't know, halfway 2/3 into the movie, like the character actually says that, and I audibly gasped. I was like, I cannot believe they're doing this. This is so dumb.
Yeah, it's exposition lady who delivers all of her lines terribly. I mean, I'm sorry to Betty Buckley here for insulting her, because she clearly was a fine enough actress back in the 70s, but both this and Split, when she's explaining exposition and that's all she's doing, it just sounds so bad. It just feels like someone gave her a list of explanations to say to the audience, and she talks to characters like... It's like they're not even trying to hide the fact that it's exposition. They're just like having her list things that the audience needs to know, and it's really, really bad. So the premise of this movie, right? Once we get into it, the main character is a artist slash author. She writes like children's books, like illustration books, right? And she is moving back into her childhood home with her new husband, who has 2 daughters from a previous marriage. And she's going back there because it's a good place to grow up. It'll spark her imagination, whatever reasons she gave. But as the movie goes on, little girl Alice, she starts talking to this teddy bear and calls it Chauncey, keeps talking. But there's all these little hints that there's actually another voice and it's not just her. You know, it sounds like she's putting on the second voice, but not really. You know, there's a reveal later on where she's clearly not actually moving her mouth, and it's, you know, the voice is coming from inside the house, to use a term. And it's like, okay, fine, we're setting this up. But there's a twist, right? There's a twist just over halfway through the movie where it turns out the teddy bear that she found and is talking to has been imaginary the whole time. And the real twist of that is that the main character, DeWanda Wise's character, Jessica, is that she can also see the bear, because this links back to her childhood, because she had an imaginary friend that she forgot about that did all the same things to her, and she only is here now because her dad saved her. And I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me is then is that, and like, I'm just going to say this, there's going to be a few spoilers for the first Insidious here, because I can't help but not compare them a little bit.
Sure.
But not only do we have their version of the Further, where they go through like a door to this other dimension, the imaginary dimension, or whatever you want to call it, even this idea that this demon trickster Chauncey, the imaginary friend, like, immediately, as soon as this was revealed, and it was like, hey, she's repressed some memories of bad things that happened to her childhood, I'm like, wait, so this is just like Insidious then, where the demon really wants her, and going after the daughter and all that is just a ruse to lure her in. And would you believe it? That's exactly where the movie goes. It's like all about her. It's all about getting... Because this is the thing, the imaginary friend demon, it feasts on imagination. It feasts on like someone who's got a lot of it. And because this young girl was an artist and she writes stories and her imagination is so potent, it's like a feast for the Imagine demon. So that's why it really wants her. So that's what the movie's ultimately all about. Now, obviously, I'm skipping ahead there to like when it reveals a bunch of stuff and like what it gets down to. So much of the movie's her dealing with the 2 girls and all that relationship stuff that comes up. But that's the gist of what it's doing. Obviously, because there's so much hostility between the teenage daughter and her, yeah, obviously they're going to have to work together to save the little girl towards the end, and they're going to bond because of it, and they're going to be closer, which, on paper, absolutely fine. That's what they should do. The problem is that these characters are so poorly written, and I'm actively hostile towards them by the time we get to the last act. I do not care, and it comes across as just like a failed attempt.
It's also that thing that like really bugs me when they try to do this storyline where, like, you know, the mother is just like such like a nice, caring person that, like, all right, I know, you know, divorce is hard and stuff, but like there's no reason to, you know, hate this woman. Like, she's not like, like some evil money grubbing wench or something, but like I don't know, the characters like treating her like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the teenager's overly hostile towards her. Like every time she has a chance, she'll say something snippy or whatever. Although it did lead to like that. There is, to be fair, there was one minor joke towards the end that did get a slight smirk out of me, because it was actually a joke that paid off the fact that she's been a bitch to her the whole time. Is when they're doing the whole list of things she has to do to open the portal to the other world, and one of them says, "Oh, you have to feel pain." The teenage girl says,
yeah,
"Hey, do you want me to send you a shitty text?" and I was like, you know what? That was mildly amusing, right? That's actually a joke based on everything that you've been doing the whole movie. So you know what? Fair enough. But yeah, no, but she's stepping with her. She's saying, "Oh, we don't need you. We're fine on our own. We didn't need a new mom." Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Also, why does no one in this family ever think it's kind of strange that the mum of this family, their birth mother, went crazy and had to go to like a mental hospital, and that's kind of how she ended up falling away from the family. And this new wife, right, Jessica, her dad, when she was young, went crazy and had to go into a mental hospital, right? But why does no one ever call out the fact that there's that big like weird coincidence between both people? That's kind of strange.
Like if anything, like I don't know, they should probably be closer, because she knows what it's like and she can like bond with her and like, hey, I know what's up. Like that's the other thing that like is kind of funny too, where it doesn't sound like they had a perfect marriage before and then like this woman was a homewrecker or something, so the kid hates her. It's like, oh, clearly like the mom has like some pretty big issues, and it seems like they're better apart and everything. It's also kind of like a wild storyline that's like very unimportant to like it's only, like you said, it's very mildly brought up, but like it seems kind of crazy to have like their mom, I don't know if she was in an insane asylum or if just like, I don't know, had a restraining order, but it seems like she, is not supposed to be like coming near them or something. She's like breaking into the house and like looking all crazy and stuff.
Well, that happens once early on. It's a fake out because you think something supernatural's happening, but it's actually the mum who's shown up and like broke into the house and is snuck in and jumps Jessica. Right, so that's the whole thing they set up, and then after that, like she never really comes up again. Now, technically, you see a fake version of her in the imaginary land or whatever, but the real version of her never shows up again. So, there's never a hint that the marriage between the dad and the mum, like, there's never any sort of hint that Jessica came into the picture before that marriage was like over and like officially done or anything like that. It always, like, it never presents any kind of thing where there was drama. It's not drama. Yeah. It's just, no, something bad happened with her. She had to go away to hospital and, marriage broke down. Possibly there was a divorce first and that made her go, like, worse or something and whatever. But it never seems like there should be any, like, hostilities there. And like you said, if anything, because of what she's went through with her father, Jessica should find it fairly easy to bond with these kids and talk about how she felt when her dad went like that, and maybe connect with them on some level because of it. But bizarrely, it's not just that it does a bad job of it, it just never tries. It never brings that up. It never comes up once that her dad had to go to a hospital and she had to go live with her grandparents, and she can relate that to their experience with their mum. Even down to the fact that she has a scar on her arm because her dad hurt her once, right? And that's partly why they said, oh, he has to go to a hospital. He can't stay with you anymore. The little girl, Alice, has a burn mark on her arm in the exact same place, which I'm sure is intentional because it's making you want to think of that connection. But it never once has like any real kind of conversation about it or has her bring up, hey, my dad did something bad to me once and blah, blah, blah. Never happens.
Yeah. No, not at all. I mean, it doesn't feel like this movie's making any effort at all to do anything. It's just like going through the motions, and unfortunately, the motions are not good.
Well, another example of it going through the motions, right? So, the sisters, right? The older sister, Taylor, arguably, okay, she's a bitch to her stepmom, right? Whatever. But she seems to be very protective of her little sister. That's a little interesting, because normally in these movies, the older sibling tends to like not care about their younger sibling until they're in danger and they kind of have to grow up a little bit and become a protector, so on, so on, right? Typical stuff. So I'm like, okay, her already being protective and kind of siding with her and almost like fighting with the stepmom for like the role of the guardian is potentially could have some interesting stuff to it. There could be something there. But at the same time, because they want excuses for other characters to be there, she also like just ignores her little sister for periods where she wants to flirt with the boy next door and has him over, and there's a whole like little section where he's just being a complete little tit by wanting to drink the booze that's in the house, pretending that he has drugs when he doesn't. You know, all
I did
that
kind
stuff.
of that did make me mildly laugh when he was just instantly like, "Oh man, like alcohol, we gotta drink it," and then he just like. She's like, don't drink that. It's like, I'll be careful. And then like just instantly drops it. Like, I was like, oh, okay, that was mildly funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think like her not wanting to do that and not wanting to take any drugs or anything like that, even though they turn out to be fake, it's like, okay, that's a little interesting, but at the same time, the second this guy started talking to her and said, hey, I know a bar where you don't need to, don't ID, like she immediately, like her eyes light up like, oh, she's a teenager who wants to go do teenage, dumb bad things and whatever. But like the movie feels like it wants to have its cake and eat it. They want her to do things that make her responsible for maybe bad things that happen to the sister and make her be negligent. But at the same time, she has like, it's almost like they wanted to make her a more interesting teenager than most movies of this type would have. But they just either didn't try or just did not know how to actually write a compelling character that was, had layers and was like trying to balance the idea that she wants to be like a typical teenager and get up to trouble and whatever else a teenager does, but at the same time also have kind of this protective instinct of trying to be the new mother figure for her little sister. Like, again, potentially there's something there that you could do with that, but I don't think the movie does. I think it feels like it's just kind of like, it's almost like it's slingshotting her backwards and forwards into whatever role the movie wants her to be in for a particular scene. If we want her to be the, irresponsible teenager because it helps this scene, then that's what she'll be in this scene. If we want her to be the one who's like fighting the stepmom for like the guardianship of her sister, then that's what she'll be in that scene. And it feels like these two different versions of her never really quite gel or feel like they're the same person. I mean, hell, I guess Jessica's the other one to talk about, who, she has nightmares. The movie opens with a big fake dream sequence of her running from like a spider monster kind of thing. And it's like, oh no, this is just her imagination, because she has an active one. She has a very vivid one, and that's why the demon wants her. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff with her trying to bond with the girls and struggling. Kind of hitting it off with the younger daughter, but then messing it up because she has to take a phone call. She, tries to bond with her, sees a couple of creepy things. Ultimately, the movie really progresses once the little girl's doing this like list of tasks. It's like a scavenger hunt where she has to like, get some bugs, do something she's scared of, do something that, hurts her. And that's actually the one that really kind of escalates where things are going, because she is about to like ram her hand into a nail outside in the garden, and it's Jessica like just in the nick of time like sort of pulls it away and is like, wait, why were you going to do that? So they bring in the therapist, and it's the therapy session which is videotaped that reveals that she's not doing the voice unless she's taken up ventriloquism, which I did appreciate that the therapist actually asked that, like, hey, has she been taking any ventriloquist lessons by chance? And it's a ridiculous question, but I appreciate that it's the one possibility for it not being supernatural, sure, is that she's doing ventriloquism. But this is also where it reveals, hey, the teddy bear was always imaginary as well, and that Jessica can also see it, and that Taylor has never seen it, because when she asked Taylor, in the movie again, concerned that we don't get it, like it's one thing for it to show like just the one clip or the one bit of footage where it's not on the couch, but the movie feels the need to cut back to like 5 different scenes from earlier in the film and show the scene without the teddy bear there to really emphasize, see, she was never holding it, she just had her hand like this, and she was just doing that, and I'm like, I get it, movie. It like, dare I say, it was an okay reveal on the videotape. It made sense. We got it. You don't have to beat us over the head with it. It's just, I don't know. It feels like a movie made for dumb people. Okay, can I just say it? It feels like a movie made for dum-dums.
They want people's minds to be blown, so they'll go back and like watch the movie over and over again. Like, hold on, wait, like I gotta see, like, does it line up? Like, oh yeah, this character isn't looking at it in this shot, and like, but like, yeah, but no one cares. Like, it's, yeah, it's not a bad reveal, but it's just, I care so little about the movie at this point that it's just like, fine, whatever.
It's just so tedious. Because again, I think on paper the reveal itself is fine. Like, this idea that you reveal that a character, like one of the adults, can also see something that the kid can see, and it's a twist that none of the other adults can see it, that's fine. Like, I actually think on paper that could be a cool little reveal that sort of tells you something about who the main character is. But it's just everything about like her backstory and going to talk to her dad in the hospital, and like the little hints, or meeting the old women outside, and the old women giving vague questions about, oh, I saw you when you were a little girl here. Oh, you used to have an imaginary friend, and I swear you almost had me convinced it was real. Like, everything it does to hint at what's going on is just, it's dull. It's just painfully dull. Oh, yeah. And the horror scenes themselves are painfully dull. There's nothing unique or interesting. The closest it ever gets is when it turns into a giant angry teddy bear, and even then, it doesn't do anything interesting with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was in the trailer or I heard something about that, but I was pretty much waiting the whole movie for, to become the monstrous big giant teddy bear. And I forget if there was like a hint of it before, maybe a little bit, but it's mostly just like kind of that one scene at the end, and then it's just like nothing.
I think there's one scene where you kind of like, I think you can see it maybe in the shadows kind of thing, but yeah, it's mostly just in the last act.
What is kind of funny though, just going back to the reveal though, is like, an imaginary friend, it could be anything. Like, it could be like, a big crazy talking dinosaur, or like a flying space monkey or something. But in this case, it's just a teddy bear. So it's like, well, wait a minute. You mean the teddy bear wasn't real? It's like, all right, well, it's just a teddy bear. Like, who cares?
I see what they're going for. It's kind of, but they are kind of having their cake and eating it too, in the sense that it's like, oh, like you assume the kid is like using the teddy bear as just an avatar for what she's pretending to talk to, or I mean, in this case, it's what she's really talking to because it's real. But then that's the reason why I say they're able to do the twist, is because, oh, this inanimate thing that is just a normal stupid thing turns out to have been also imaginary, and that's how the twist works. So I get why they've done it, but it does, it's like, wait, this is, but that's the thing though, it's not imaginary though, right? Like, this is the form the demon or the trickster took. So it's not like, so the critique almost doesn't make sense, because it's not something the kid's imagining, because the demon picked the teddy bear.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And then kind of on that, it is funny because the movie is imaginary, and actually surprising lack of imagination in pretty much every facet of it. The part that really actually made me laugh is when they go into the Never Ever, I believe it's called.
Yes, that's the further, the Never Ever further.
So that really made me laugh, because like when they go in there and they're with like that old lady, and she says something along the lines of like, here we are, like, the dimension made by imagination that's like it's limitless and like unbound by like the things we can see and create, but it's just like a very dark hallway with lots of doors. It's like, oh, this is like what the unbounded imagination is. Like, it's just, it's like nothing.
It's not just a hallway. There's lots of it's basically like that one area in the Harry Potter like castle with all the stairs, but like dark, where there's all these stairs going up to different doors and stuff.
To be fair, it might have been a little too dark. I might have missed some of the stairs, so
Yeah,
I apologize. Stairs and doors for the fertile imagination land.
Like, I'm not saying it had a lot of imagination going on, but I will at least say it didn't look like a real place. It looked like, there was definitely a supernatural quality to this area. Just
sure. I'm just saying it's like very drab and boring. Like, it's not like I think like Imagination Land, it's like, crazy orange sky with like, flying cars and talking dragons walking around, or something, like crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like more like Black Mercy, the Superman thing, right? Where it kind of traps you in your perfect dream. It lures you into the never ever, and then you go into your box and you just get whatever you want that makes you happy, and this thing just feeds on your brain or whatever it is. So,
but I'm sorry. Like, what's funny about that though, and I mean, we're skipping all around, but there really is not much to talk about this movie. But I did also think it was kind of funny how easy it seemed to be to like break Alice from that world. Like, she didn't really put up much of a fight. That like they were just like, "Come on, we gotta go," and she was kind of like, "Okay." Like, I don't know. Like it like for a while she was like, "Oh no, we're gonna stay here with like my sisters and mommies," but then like when it was time to go, she was just like, "All right," and like it didn't seem that hard.
Yeah, the Jessica just had to sort of convince her it was fun to build the new magic door in the wall.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole scavenger hunt thing, right? Which Alice, the little girl, was doing, is the idea that if she does everything on the list, it'll open a door to the never ever, and she'll go there and never come back. Now, once that happens and she disappears, and everyone's like, "Oh no, she's ran away, she's gone somewhere," and Jessica's like, "I don't think she ran away. I think she's went somewhere else. I think it's what my crazy dad that was delirious in the hospital talking about me disappearing. I think this is what he was talking about." And then the old woman bumps into the teenager and starts like doing a bunch of exposition, talking about, like you say, "Oh, this is the place of imagination," or "Oh, this isn't enough. It has to be something that's truly painful. Physical pain is not enough." Blah blah. She keeps explaining things in a really annoying, condescending way, right?
Yeah, she's not a nice character. Like, even when you first meet her, like, it seems like she's trying to become like the endearing, like, neighbor or whatever, but she's like, I don't know, like shushing the children and stuff, and I was like, this lady sucks.
Yeah, and as massive like surprise, she turns out to be a villain, because once they get into the imaginary land, she's like, "Yes, I wanted to come here. The demon's been talking to me to help you get here, and now I never want to leave," because she tries to shut the door on them. So basically, to go and save Alice, Jessica, remembering some bits of her childhood, decides that she can do the list as well and make the magic door so that they can go get her back. And that's what they do. So they do all the things. She has to hurt herself. She stabs herself with some scissors. Turns out she has to be honest with the teenager about how she feels about how much shit the teenager gives her. And he says, "Yeah, your mom's crazy, okay? I'm actually here. It's your fault that your sister's gone because you're negligent, blah, blah, blah." And she says a bunch of stuff, lets all of her emotions unleash, and that gets the job done. So they go into the never ever land, the further, whatever you want to call it. And then the old lady betrays them. But immediately, as soon as this woman starts like yelling about how she's happy to be here and this is the best thing ever, and she can be young and she can do whatever she wants, now she's in the place of imagination, the big bear just like grabs her head and pulls her into a door and kills her. That's
off
it.
Screen.
Yeah, she's gone.
Very, like, not fun way.
Yeah, nothing entertaining about it, nothing interesting. It's just a groan. It's just like, oh, so we went through all this. We had your exposition character who was painfully dull, and then like the best thing you had was almost like a dark humor moment of her getting killed as soon as she got what she wanted. Like I felt like nothing. It was like a lead balloon dropping.
I mean, I was happy she was gone. So it's like, all right, well, no more shitty acting. But
I mean, yeah. So they spend some time looking for the little girl. They get lost. They get split up at one point. There's a whole sequence here where the teenager's in a room with like an evil version of her little sister, and the bear's standing in the corner, and there's this like light toy that's kind of spinning, and it's like, oh, the light goes off, it comes on, oh, the face is right there. Typical stuff, right? Very typical. And then Jessica saves her by like ripping open the door and being like, "Hey, this is a place of imagination. Let's not split up. like, you know, stick together. It's like, okay, I get it. You have the two who have hated each other all movie finally bonding, finally like getting on with each other because they've got a common goal and whatever. Fine. But they find a little sister in like a room where it's all full of girls' toys, and she's got like a little dress on, and she's got like a tea party going on. Like she's basically living in like her own fantasy of like, I've got everything I want. I've even got a puppy. Blah blah blah. And Jessica realizes, oh, we don't need to go back out the door we came in. We can just make a new one in here because this is like a place of imagination. So she starts just like drawing a door in the wall and gets the other two to help her, and it kind of works. But she stays back to like fight the demon or whatever, or she gets grabbed or something. I can't even remember why she stays back.
Something like that. But then, I mean, it's basically just so like you can kind of have this fake out where, yeah, you think they're okay, but then it's like, oh no, she's still stuck in there.
Oh no, that comes later. We're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Right. She doesn't get out here. She stays here to fight thingy. Wait, does she?
Chauncey? Or...
No, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she does get out here. Maybe you're right.
All right, and then the mom is here too, like their actual mom, but she's like saying...
it's not really her though. It's just the
right,
pretending to be her.
Yeah.
And when she reveals that it's not her, and I mean, it's obviously it's never really her, but she does this thing where they've got big bug eyes, like her. She gets like big, just black round eyes that are like far too big for her head. And that's kind of like the evil looking version. So basically, when they get out and they close the door, we cut to a scene at the old folks home / mental hospital where her dad stays, and she's reading one of her own books to her dad, and the camera pans over to like her husband and the two girls, and I even in my head I immediately went, wait a minute. What if they possibly told him he's not here for any of this? Does he believe this shit? Did they like sort of sugarcoat it and sort of say just, oh, Alice was lost, we went and found her, but did they leave it all the supernatural stuff? Because why would he believe any of that?
Yeah.
But then like the girls start saying how great she is and like, hey, oh, like I'm going to call you mum now, and oh, I'm so Jessica, you know, I know I've been a bitch, but like, you know, you're the best, and you know, we're going to get on well together now. And then she realizes, oh wait, I'm still in the imagination land. This is the thing. This is the Black Mercy style fantasy that I'm getting from this thing, so that I'll be happy here. I'm getting this perfect new family, and this is the version of it that I imagined in my head. So they all like, go big-eyed, like the original mum did, and start tormenting her and like saying, you can stay in here forever and be happy. There's no need to whatever. And the big thing that happens here is that just as you're thinking, oh, the movie's going to cut to black, it's going to do like the tragic ending where she's trapped in here forever. Whack. The teen daughter has come back inside to save her. Sort of, in theory, and I get this on paper, in theory, the teen daughter who's been a complete bitch to her most of the movie has come in to save her, sort of solidifying the fact that, okay, they're bonded now, they've got this relationship. Maybe they're not mum-daughter, but there's a respect here. There's like a, you know, there's a camaraderie, they've formed, all that stuff. I get it. I get what it's trying to do. And I honestly don't know, like what are this, I don't know how to feel about this ending. Because on the one hand, the ending where, oh, she's secretly still in there and she's just trapped in there forever, you know, cut to credits, so dark ending, that's super cliched. It absolutely is. So on one hand, I'm actually quite happy that they said, no, we're not doing that. But on the other hand, like, they already had a moment like 5 minutes ago where it felt like she was almost going to be trapped inside, and then the teen daughter kind of saved her by pulling her out the door. So we're kind of repeating that moment in a bigger way with her coming in to save her. And then, of course, they rush to the door and they get out and they shut it and they put all the paint over, and the little girl sets the place on fire, so they just evacuate the house and watch it burn. And that's pretty much it. There's like one little final scene at the end where they go to a hotel, and because there's a kid with a teddy bear, and the mum says, hey, don't tell me your teddy bear like went over here on his own, I don't believe you. The teen daughter just sort of turns to Jessica and says, hey, do you want to try a different hotel? And she's like, yeah. And they just leave. And because one thing we've not mentioned actually, right? So when they first went into the imaginary further, Jessica sees like a flashback, like her repressed memory comes back of what happened with her dad. So her dad actually came and saved her in this place when she was a kid. But the reason why he went crazy is because he looked into the eyes of Chauncey, of the imaginary friend. Because this is the thing, there's not different imaginary friends all over the world. All of them are him. He is like feeding off all the kids' imaginations. And the idea is that if you look into his eyes, you're seeing the unfiltered imagination of every child on Earth. And that made the dad go crazy. Because there's a whole bit where they make it look like she's looking into his eyes and she might go crazy. Yeah. And I guess they just set him in fire quick enough that it didn't take. But
I mean, that's going to be harsh because there's like some like twisted freaks out there. Like I've met kids where I'm like, ooh, I do not want to know what's going on in your mind.
Yes, yes. You call them son and daughter. Yes.
So this is a part that actually felt like a big ripoff of It too, because this is just like Pennywise's Deadlights. Like, this is what happens in it. Like when Henry Bowers like looks into his eyes and he basically goes like crazy and is like, I don't know, not comatose, but like I think he like doesn't talk or whatever for a long time. So I don't know. Again, just another thing that felt like super cliche and stuff to me. And then going back like to the ending scene at the other hotel. It's like the movie is so humorless, and I'm like, you really gonna try to like end on a joke?
I know.
Now, at this point, it's like so like out of tone with the movie. I don't know.
Bizarrely,
and it's such a dumb cliche joke. Like they might as well say like, here we go again.
But the funny thing is though, is that the only two moments in the whole movie that I kind of liked was when it tried to actually make a joke, because it was the only time it kind of worked.
Well, like, not that it would have made it a good movie, but if we were having fun with it and trying to be like cheesier, over the top, and had like comedic characters, like, I don't know, there'd be a little more something to latch on to. Like, I don't think it would be good, but again, maybe just something to alleviate like, the tediousness of it or something. I don't know, but there's very little of that anywhere throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's funny because it's so like toothless in its writing that it kind of also avoids other tropes that I was worried it was going to do. Like I thought at some point like the dad was going to side with the daughters or something, and it was going to be this extra amount of tension where they all think she's crazy until she proves otherwise. But instead he just leaves the movie, so it never even becomes a factor, which I think is bad writing in a lot of ways, but at the same time it kind of avoids some other tropes that I wasn't looking forward to. So I don't know, it's just like a weird thing to be like relieved about, but it's just that, I mean, we're talking about these horror moments that are kind of cliched, or these ideas that feel like they're just lifted from other movies or books or whatever. But I think the biggest problem that this movie has, outside of the horror stuff just not being that compelling and cliched and all the rest of it, is just how, like, by the numbers and, like, cookie cutter the characters and the family dynamic is. It's like, it just feels like, there's like a Rolodex of like this type of like character, this type of relationship with the kids, and we're just going to do our version of that, but without ever committing to actually having something you want to like say about it. Like, again, on paper, you tell me we're going to have a teenage girl and a stepmom who don't get along. The stepdaughter's particularly nasty to her and doesn't want to trust her. And the point of the story is that they're going to bond by the end because they have to team up to save the younger sister. On paper, that's fine. That is a fine basis for a character arc. It's a fine basis for what to follow. The problem is, though, is that it spends so much time with them at odds and like building up the fake out like creep scares and whatnot, that it doesn't do things that actually makes you like. I think they should at least try and make us really like one, if not both, of the characters, so that by the time, so that we're kind of happy that they're kind of like making up and seeing eye to eye. Like, again, more of the big sister looking out for her little sister might have went a long way to be like, hey, she's a good big sister. She, like, as much as she's been a bit of a shit to the stepmom, she is clearly caring about her little sister more than most siblings her age would. So that would maybe make her endearing. And maybe the stepmom, okay, we see her try and make an effort to be a mum to the kids, but it's always in a very kind of thinly veiled way where as soon as the kids like kind of shut her down, she just kind of like sulks and leaves and says, "Oh, I've screwed up again. I'm really shit at this mum thing." And I'm like, I don't know, like, I mean, the scene where she walks out and the teenage daughter, Taylor's talking to the boy next door and she overhears the boys say, "Oh, I know a bar where you don't need ID." She comes out and says, "Oh, I'll have to remember that because I always forget mine." And then she points out, Taylor here's 15 years old, so maybe go to, laser tag or something different like that. It kind of felt like when they went inside, it's almost like Jessica backs down and tries to apologize for embarrassing her. And I'm like, you just caught her getting excited because there's a bar where you don't need ID. Like, I feel like you should be not scolding her or per se, but like standing your ground a little bit more. It kind of felt like she was always a bit of a pushover. And I don't know, it made it hard to like latch on to her.
No, I agree. I think that in particular was a weird scene because like it feels like it should be played more for laughs, but like I don't know, like the mom seems like, or stepmom, like I don't know, she seems like maybe like a little too angry about it, like obviously like that's something as a parent you should be upset about, and you want your child to avoid going to those situations or whatever, but I don't know, you can do it in maybe like a more like jovial kind of goofier way or whatever, and then afterwards she's kind of like, "Oh, like what? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you, I was just joking," or whatever. It's like, no, you seem like pretty serious, like when you're talking about it. Like you seem like angry at this boy, which you should be, but I don't know, that would have been like a more, I don't know, comedic way or something to take it than I feel like what they were trying to go for.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the problems is the teenage boy next door, like, he was a blank slate of a character. There was like no personality to him, so he's part of the problem here as well. But it
could have been fun because like I like a good bonehead character, but it's just it ends up like not really doing anything and barely being in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, what if she sort of bantered with him a little bit? Because I thought they were introducing him because they were going to have him killed off. Because at one point he gets scared upstairs when he goes to the bathroom, and it's like, oh, maybe he's getting attacked right now. And it just, he just ends up getting scared, and he gets caught by when Jessica comes home, and then you basically never see him again. Like, he's gone. Like, that's it. He's out of the movie. So we spent all that time, and all we really were getting out of it was trying to build drama between Jessica and Taylor. But it feels like they don't actually use it enough. Like, it feels like there's like one little quick conversation where she's like, "Taylor, what the hell? Why is he over here?" kind of thing. But instead of being like, "Oh, like you can't be trusted with your little sister, you clearly don't care about her," like have her actually like confront her and say that, hey, this is the like, because to be fair, we saw Taylor go out to her little sister and say, "Hey, you're having fun with your imaginary friend, I'm going to have fun with my friend." And then she basically ignores her because she's got a boy over. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe have the boy do something in front of the little sister where Taylor has to like sort of like get a bit grown up and be like, "Hey, stop doing that in front of my sister," or "Stop making fun of her," or something. Like, have her like have to choose between protecting her little sister and the boy she's got over. Not like a super serious way, but just something that makes her have to actually decide, am I being a big sister here, or am I ignoring her and being like a bratty teenager who's got a crush and watching Warm Bodies on TV for some reason.
I didn't even clock that was what they were watching.
I saw Nicholas Hoult. I'm like, what is this? Oh, it's Warm Bodies. Okay. Fair enough. Something the studio probably owns, if I was to make a quick guess without checking. Not Blumhouse, but Lionsgate.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, I think that this is the frustrating part of this, is that it feels like it was written in such a way where the writer, and I'm going to scroll up here and see, is it just what did he write it? He was one of the writers. There was like 3 writers on it. It feels like it was written in a way where someone vaguely understands what like other movies do. Like, they understand, hey, you're supposed to have characters that have tension and drama and an arc where they bond by the end. And we understand that this is the type of characters you put in your movie. You have the teenager who's having trouble with the stepmom. but they don't actually understand how to build it and have it become this thing where you're kind of like rooting for them to finally see eye to eye. You know, like, why oh why? Like, would it not be a good idea, for example, to maybe have the little sister at some point, like, tell them both off for fighting? Like,
sure,
that could be a scene, maybe. I don't know.
Drive her further into the imaginary friends, arms or whatever.
Yeah, something like that, or I don't know. Like, there's just
it's sloppy. I mean, there's just there's no art or craft of it. Like you said before, feels very like AI algorithm driven. Like, I don't know, maybe these people, are, big movie lovers or something, and they, want to do something of significance or whatever. But it just feels like, just stuff that's going by the numbers, that's going by a book, saying like, you must have characters that establish their relationships and then have conflict and then come together. Like, it's just kind of checking off all these boxes without, putting any actual like heart and soul into it. So it just feels like lifeless, boring, dribble.
It is dribble. I mean, you're right. Yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant to, make the critiques and like joke about it feeling like it's written by AI, because I feel like that's such a lazy thing to say now, but
sure, yeah.
Because let's face it, it's not like we didn't get a lot of bad horror movies like this before the last couple of years, because we absolutely did. But it has that feeling of like not quite getting things. I suppose the better thing to compare it to, although it's more bland in this, how when we talk about someone like a Neil Breen or a Uwe Boll, or not Uwe Boll, but maybe like a Tommy Wiseau writing a movie, it's like he vaguely understands what's in a movie, but doesn't actually understand it. Like, he gets the broad strokes of like, okay, this is a movie, you have characters, you have like, a tragedy, you have this, you have that, you have a hero and a villain, whatever, but doesn't quite get how like characters are supposed to talk to each other or understand. This isn't quite like that to that extreme, but that's how it makes me feel. It makes me feel like, okay, broadly we understand the relationships we're shooting for and what we're wanting to do with this dynamic between the characters, but we don't actually know how to build it or pay it off or really do anything with it that actually is compelling. Because it would make a difference if I cared about the characters. It would go a long way to alleviating other problems. Admittedly, also making good horror movie scenes would be nice, and ones that aren't as cliched and just, again, by the book, stock, just pulled out of a hat. Like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do the thing where the light turns on and there's a face right there. We're going to do a thing where, I don't know, something jumps out of the door at the last second. Whatever it is, it's just.
Whatever it is, I mean, that could have been the name of the movie. Like, it's like, whatever it is, check it out. I'm curious if anyone watching this whole review actually enjoyed the movie. Like, I mean, I'd be surprised, but also like, I don't know if they're just like seething with rage, like everything we say.
I can't imagine anyone's passionate about Imaginary. It's not possible. It's just, I mean, unless you've never seen a movie before. If this is the first movie you've ever seen, it probably hits hard.
Sure.
It probably hits quite well.
Yeah.
But sadly, I've seen a few in my time, and this isn't quite adding up to much.
No.
It kind of feels like Jeff Wadlow just doesn't like have a knack for characters, because the characters in all of these movies just suck. Like, all of these movies have that problem where the characters just feel like paper thin vessels for which the plot that's decided is happening plays out. And it would just go such a long way to actually give a shit about them. And again, it's not like technically some of this, like, the elements are there because they kind of are, but they do not work. They do not click together. And there's only so many ways I can say something is painfully boring, but this movie is painfully boring.
Yeah, that agreement.
All right, Tim, what was your scene of the movie?
I mean, it feels like an impossible task. I don't know. I don't know, like I don't know, like I really didn't like anything about this movie, so it's extremely hard to choose. um I don't know, I guess maybe when she started giving the exposition about the uh imaginary friends, how they're actually these like evil spirits that can attach themselves to children, like that gave me a chuckle because I called it earlier, and just the audacity of the movie to do something so dumb and cliche, that made me laugh. So I guess that, but it's hard to choose.
I'll go with the teen daughter suggesting she send a nasty text to the stepmom for when they need something to be painful, for the ritual of opening the imaginary door. Just because it got a genuine laugh out of me. It was actually a joke. They successfully did that. Admittedly, there's not a lot of humor in the movie, so it's not like it felt like it belonged, but still, I'll take what I can get at this point. MVP of the movie?
I guess I'll give it up for Ben.
Who's Ben?
Wasn't he the dad?
Oh, he's the worst. What are you talking about? Out of the family, he was by far the worst. But he's
No,
Max.
the other dad, Jessica's dad. It's in the like coma.
Oh, the one that's mostly in a coma and then just sort of says some crazy things for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's what you want to pick.
He's a good dad. I respected his dad skills. He saved his daughter by absorbing the imagination of millions of children on the planet. That's like good dad behavior.
See, when she sees that memory and then afterwards she's like crying and going, "Oh my God, Dad, you sacrificed yourself for me. I never understood. I if only I'd known what you'd done for me."
It's so, that scene is just so funny to me because it's like oh, the unfiltered imagination of like children all over the world. But it's like, again, like, you know, I have two young kids, like, you know, their imagination is just being like, I like my Spider-Man car. It's gonna like drive into my other car.
Children are idiots. That's face facts here. Okay, children are idiots.
It's like, yeah. I mean, I guess like if you absorb anything that's like millions of whatever's like at any moment, that's gonna like cause you to go crazy. But it's just funny to think of like, going crazy because you're imagining like, I don't know, just like all the dumb stuff like kids think of.
I mean, I think it's less to do with what they're imagining and more just that it's too much data, right? It's just like you're just frying your brain because you're downloading what's like terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how when they wrote it, that's how they wanted us to think about it, but that's how I'm choosing to say it.
Sure.
MVP for me? Oh, I don't know. As an argument for either DeWanda Wise or either of the kids. I think the younger girl kind of was impressive enough in the role she was given. But I guess it's just because I expect kids that age to suck, so because she didn't suck, it's a low bar to clear. I think DeWanda Wise has got a really like thankless job because the character is such a cliched kind of entity that it's hard to like see beyond that, even though she's perfectly fine at what she's doing. Do I pick the editor?
The credits, because when they came on, it is signaling the end of the movie.
Sorry, me, I'm just yawning now. I'm even talking about this is boring me. Yeah, I'll just go with DeWanda Wise, I guess. But this is a very not passionate choice, I have to say.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe there's a way we can like tweak like our closing statements, like for when a movie goes like below a certain threshold, like, I don't know, because sometimes it is hard to choose like an MVP or a scene in the movie when, you know, it gets to a thing like this.
Now give us some thought. You can make some suggestions, Tim. I'll entertain them.
We'll discuss that at the next investors meeting.
Hey, did you put the book under your mic? Because not that it's been a problem all the episode, but just all of a sudden in the last 30 seconds, there's lots of tapping and movement noises.
The book's under there, but I was tapping my fingers a little bit just out of boredom, so it might have been that.
Yeah, don't do that, Tim. Rate the movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1. I don't think there's anything good about it. Like, I don't know. I feel like even like the crappy, more generic stuff, like, will usually go at least a 2 or something, because again, there's a certain threshold that something meets. But I don't know. I'm having trouble giving it anything above that, because I just really, I'm having trouble like finding anything like redeeming or likable, or anything that just made me want to continue watching it or have any kind of vague interest. This is just the most bland of the bland, hack of the hack, most boring, non-existent movie. Like, this is like you said, it's only been a little over a year since it's come out, but this already feels like something that no one remembers, and then let alone in like 10-15 years, I don't know, this will be something that will only exist in the imagination of young babes everywhere. So, yeah, 1 for this piece of pig shit.
I don't know if I can go as low as a 1, just because a 1 is like, a 1 is, I mean, what have I given a 1? Like,
hardly anything. I don't think. We probably have more 10s than 1s, I would think.
Oh, I don't know about that. But like, so the last thing I gave a 2 to was the Omen remake.
That was bad.
And before that, I gave Resident Evil Apocalypse a 2. So
also bad.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, like, do I think Imaginary's worse than them? Do I think it's better than them? Like, do I think it's about the same?
Questions we have to ask ourselves.
I don't know. What else did I give it to? The Nun 2, that got a 2. From me. And Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Yeah, I don't think you hardly ever go below a 2.
I mean, it's happened. If I can tell you the last thing I gave a 1 to. It was Alone in the Dark by Uwe Boll. That was a 1 out of 10. Oh, dear. I don't know.
Well deserved.
I will go. See, normally when I say something's just really, really boring and generic, like, I'm like, okay, that's like a 4 usually, right? But this was so boring to get through and so hard to pay attention to that I am going lower than that. And I'm a thinking 2. I'm a thinking 1.5. It's kind of in that range. I think the fact that I had trouble seeing things in the dark scenes kind of bumps it down. I'm going to say 1.5. 1.5 out of 10, okay?
Oof. We'll see where it lands when we do our best of the
year. I'll be surprised if there was anything in 2024 horror-wise that I think was worse than Imaginary. I mean, I'll be surprised if there's anything I thought was worse in general, to be honest, but yeah, that's rough stuff. Yeah. Although this does remind me, we should do that even more at some point, where we go through, like, a year of ratings, and do we still feel that way about these movies based on what we said back then?
Okay.
Has hindsight been kind to them?
Sure.
Interesting.
That could be a fun topic, yeah.
Anyway, not all of them, of course, in one go, because we've got 600 plus episodes, Tim, but like...
Right.
Maybe 100 at a time or something. Anyway.
You want to do one for, like, every year?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, maybe not the recent ones, but, like, if we go back to the first few years, certainly.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that's the show, everyone. I don't know what to say anymore. This was a miserable experience. And it's not even, that's the thing, it's not even like it's so stupid that we could laugh and say, what the hell were they doing here? It's just so goddamn bland.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it so bad, because, again, if it's, you know, there's a certain threshold where, yeah, at least if it was being really crazy or over the top or just had, like, a lot of, like, you know, what the hell kind of moments, then there'd be something to discuss. There'd be something to, you know, look at and wonder what happened. But yeah, there's nothing like that here. This is just what it is.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. So yeah, this has been Screws After Midnight. You can support the show over at Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, as well as everything else on MailFuzz Movies. If you haven't checked out the other podcasts on MailFuzz Movies, please do check those out. It's a sci-fi podcast and a sort of movie franchise podcast that I do with David. Go check out those. But you can get bonus content. We have kind of paused the bonus content for Screams for a little bit. However, we are planning on our next recording to record a bonus episode for Patreon. We have a vote winner from back in January that's been sitting waiting to get done. So we're going to be doing that, and that'll be up around either the same time as this episode or maybe next week. So look forward to that if you're on Patreon. The bonuses aren't back consistently yet, but we're going to try and do one every so often whilst we're kind of in this sort of in-between period before Tim gets into his new house. But until then, there'll be the occasional thing. But of course, there's a back catalogue that's built up of the bonus episodes. There's over 50 of those bad boys on Patreon. There's several even more streams in the backlog as well. So go check out those and help keep the show coming. Otherwise, like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that usual stuff helps out a bunch if you do. And we'll see you next time. So keep watching scary movies. Goodbye.